First contact. The harsh winds of Proxima Centauri howled across the barren landscape, kicking up swirls of ruddy dust that scratched at Captain Sarah Chen's faceplate. She trudged forward, each step a small victory against the planet's punishing gravity. The terraforming mission was behind schedule, and as leader of this first human expedition beyond the solar system, the weight of responsibility pressed down on her even harder than the alien world's atmosphere. Sarah crested a low ridge, her eyes scanning the horizon through the perpetual crimson twilight cast by the dim red dwarf star. Something glinted in the distance, a metallic sheen out of place among the rust-colored rocks and ice. She blinked, adjusting her helmet's magnification. "Base, this is Chen. I've got a visual on something. Approximately 2 clicks northwest of my position. Definitely not natural formation. Permission to investigate." The response crackled through her comm after a moment's delay. "Proceed with caution, Captain. We're tracking your vitals and position. Backup team is on standby." Sarah approached the anomaly slowly, her hand resting on the stunner at her hip. As she drew closer, the object's form became clear, sleek, silver, with curves that spoke of an intelligence beyond human design. It was a ship, or at least part of one, half buried in the planet's unyielding soil. "My God," she whispered, her heart racing. "Base, are you seeing this? It's not one of ours." She circled the craft, noting the strange symbols etched into its hull and the scorch marks that spoke of a violent descent. A gash ran along one side, revealing glimpses of an alien interior. Sarah steeled herself and peered inside. A figure lay motionless within the wreckage, its form vaguely humanoid but unmistakably alien. 6 limbs, a torso covered in what looked like iridescent scales, and a head that tapered to a point where a mouth should be. Sarah's scientific mind raced, cataloging details even as her human heart pounded with a mixture of fear and wonder. The alien's chest, if that's what it was, rose and fell almost imperceptibly. It was alive. "Base, we have a survivor. I repeat, we have a living alien entity. Request immediate medical team and containment unit." Sarah knew protocol demanded she wait for backup, but something in her rebelled against the idea of leaving this creature alone and in pain. She carefully maneuvered through the torn hull, wincing as jagged metals scraped against her suit. As she approached, the alien's eyes snapped open, all 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern on its face. They were a startling deep purple that seemed to swirl with galaxies. The creature recoiled, a high-pitched heening sound emanating from somewhere near its chest. Sarah raised her hands slowly, palms out. "It's okay," she said softly, knowing her words were meaningless, but hoping her tone might convey peace. "I'm here to help." The alien's eyes darted around wildly, taking in the unfamiliar human before it. It tried to move but slumped back, clearly injured. A viscous, silver fluid oozed from a gash in its side. Sarah's medic training kicked in. Alien or not, a living being was suffering. She reached for her med kit, movements slow and deliberate. The creature watched warily as she extracted a universal coagulant spray, the best she could offer without knowing its biology. "This might sting," she murmured, then applied the spray to the wound. The alien tensed, its scales bristling, but didn't lash out. After a moment, the silver flow began to slow. A series of clicks and whistles emerged from the creature. Sarah shook her head. "I'm sorry, I don't understand, but I'm trying to help you. Can you understand me?" The alien's head tilted, its eyes focusing intently on Sarah's faceplate. Slowly, deliberately, it raised one of its upper limbs and tapped the side of its head, then gestured to Sarah. "You want me to take off my helmet?" Sarah hesitated. The atmosphere was technically breathable, but prolonged exposure could have unknown effects. Still, this could be a crucial moment for communication. She made her decision. With a hiss, Sarah's helmet unsealed. She removed it, her short black hair falling free, and took a cautious breath of the alien air. The creature's eyes widened, all 4 pupils dilating in what Sarah hoped was recognition rather than aggression. It reached out with surprising speed, its six-fingered hand hovering just above Sarah's face. She forced herself to remain still, heart thundering in her chest. The alien's touch, when it came, was feather-light, tracing the contours of her features with something akin to reverence. More clicks and whistles, but this time Sarah felt something. A tickle at the edge of her consciousness, like words almost heard. She gasped as understanding blossomed, not in her ears but directly in her mind. You, help, why? The alien's thoughts were fragmented, colored with pain and confusion. Sarah's eyes widened. Telepathy, she breathed. Incredible. She focused her thoughts, trying to project them as clearly as possible. Yes, I want to help. It's what we do. Are there more of you? What happened? A flood of images assaulted Sarah's mind. A vast ship, sleek and beautiful, pursuing the smaller craft. Weapons fire. A desperate plunge toward the nearest planet. Confusion, fear, resignation to death, and then a pink-skinned bite emerging from the dust. Pursued, the alien managed to convey danger, must, hide. Sarah nodded, her mind racing. Protocol dictated full disclosure to her superiors, immediate quarantine, years of careful study before any real interaction. But the raw fear and gratitude emanating from the alien struck a chord deep within her. This wasn't just a scientific discovery, it was a living, thinking being in desperate need of help. Okay, she said aloud, her decision made. Let's get you out of here. My team is coming, but I promise we'll protect you. We'll figure this out together. The alien's relief washed over her like a warm wave. As Sarah began to carefully assess how to move the creature, her comm crackled to life. Captain Chen, backup team is 5 minutes out. What's your status? Sarah took a deep breath, knowing her next words would change everything. Base, prepare for first contact protocols. And tell them to come in quiet. We may have unfriendlies inbound. As the magnitude of the situation settled over her, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, and now on this distant world, it fell to her to forge Earth's first real connection with an alien intelligence. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and filled with unknowable dangers. But as she met the swirling purple gaze of the creature before her, Sarah knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity had just taken its first real step into a larger universe, and she was determined to ensure it was a step towards compassion, cooperation, and hope. Unlikely alliance. The makeshift shelter hummed with tension as Sarah Chen paced back and forth, her mind racing. It had been 48 hours since she'd made the decision to hide the alien, whom she'd started calling Zephyr due to the whistling sounds it made, from both her own superiors and the mysterious pursuers. The rest of her team had been sworn to secrecy, a move that could end all their careers if discovered. Dr. Amit Patel, the expedition's xenobiologist, approached her with a tablet in hand. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, his voice a mix of excitement and concern. "Zephyr's cellular structure, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The ability to repair and adapt at the molecular level is off the charts." Sarah glanced at the incomprehensible data, then at Zephyr, who lay on a makeshift bed, watching them intently. "Can you use any of this to help heal it faster?" Amit shook his head. "I wouldn't even know where to start, but that's not the most pressing issue." He lowered his voice. "Sarah, if the wrong people get their hands on this kind of regenerative capability—" "I know," Sarah cut him off, her jaw tightening. "Weapons, immortality serums, God knows what else. It's why we can't let anyone know about Zephyr. Not yet." A series of clicks and whistles interrupted them. Sarah turned to see Zephyr attempting to sit up, its 4 eyes fixed on her intently. She felt the now familiar tickle of telepathic communication. Danger, coming. Must prepare. Sarah rushed to Zephyr's side. "What kind of danger? Your pursuers." A flood of images filled her mind. Massive ships descending from the stars, creatures similar to Zephyr but larger, more aggressive, wielding weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. The Void Hunters, Zephyr conveyed. They seek to consume all life, fuel for their empire. Sarah's blood ran cold. This wasn't just about protecting one alien anymore. Potentially the entire human race was at stake. She turned to her team, determination etched on her face. "All right, people, we're officially off mission. Our new objective is to get Zephyr healthy enough to travel and figure out a way to stop these Void Hunters before they find Earth." The next few days were a flurry of activity. Sarah's team worked tirelessly, combining their scientific knowledge with the fragments of advanced technology they could glean from Zephyr's crashed ship. They fashioned makeshift weapons, improved their communication systems, and fortified their shelter as best they could. All the while, Sarah spent every spare moment with Zephyr, their mental bond growing stronger. Through a mixture of telepathy and an improvised sign language, she learned of Zephyr's world, a peaceful, highly advanced civilization that had been all but wiped out by the Void Hunters. Zephyr was a scout, sent to find allies in the fight against the encroaching darkness. "Why us?" Sarah asked one evening, as the perpetual twilight of Proxima Centauri deepened outside their shelter. "We must seem so primitive compared to your people." Zephyr's response came not in words, but in a wave of emotions and impressions. Sarah saw flashes of human history, not just the wars and cruelty, but the triumphs of spirit. She felt Zephyr's awe at humanity's rapid advancement, our ability to adapt and overcome, our capacity for both logic and imagination. Most of all, she felt hope, a belief that humans, in all our messy, complicated glory, might be the key to turning the tide against the Void Hunters. Sarah blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the trust this alien being had placed in her and her species. "We won't let you down," she whispered. A low rumble shook the shelter, dust raining down from the ceiling. Sarah's comm crackled to life with the panicked voice of their lookout. "Captain, multiple bogies entering the atmosphere. They're big, and they're not ours." Sarah's heart raced as she helped Zephyr to its feet. "Looks like we're out of time," she said grimly. "You up for this?" Zephyr stood tall, its iridescent scales shimmering with determination. A clear thought projected into Sarah's mind. Together. They emerged from the shelter to see 3 massive ships descending through the crimson sky, their hulls black as the void of space. Sarah's ragtag team of scientists, turned warriors found out, makeshift weapons at the ready. As the first Void Hunter ship touched down, its hull splitting open like the maw of some cosmic predator, Sarah felt a moment of doubt. What chance did they really have against such advanced foes? But then she felt Zephyr's presence in her mind, a steady pulse of courage and resolve. She looked around at her team, human ingenuity and determination personified. They had come to this planet to forge a new future for humanity. Now that future would be forged in alliance with beings from beyond the stars. Sarah raised her weapon, a hybrid of human and alien tech that hummed with potential. "All right, people," she called out, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "Let's show these Void Hunters what happens when they mess with Earth." As the first wave of enemies emerged from their ships, towering shadowy figures that seemed to drink in the light around them, Sarah felt a surge of something unexpected, excitement. This was humanity's first real test on the galactic stage. It was terrifying, yes, but it was also the culmination of centuries of dreams and aspirations. The battle erupted in a chaos of energy beams, explosions, and otherworldly screams. Sarah found herself moving in perfect sync with Zephyr, their minds linked, anticipating each other's actions. Her team fought with a ferocity born of desperation and determination, their human unpredictability keeping the Void Hunters off balance. As she ducked behind a rock formation, narrowly avoiding a blast that turned the ground to glass, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger. But in this moment, On this distant world, humanity was taking its first steps toward becoming a true spacefaring civilization. And they were not walking alone. The hunt begins. The crimson dust of Proxima Centauri swirled around Sarah Chen's feet as she crouched behind a twisted piece of alien wreckage. Her breath came in short gasps, the air tasting of ozone and fear. Beside her, Zephyr's iridescent scales rippled with tension, all four eyes scanning the horizon. "How many left?" Sarah whispered, her mind reaching out through their telepathic link. Zephyr's response came as a series of images, three void hunters, their shadowy forms prowling the ruins of the battlefield. Sarah nodded grimly. They had managed to destroy one of the enemy ships and drive the others back, but at a cost. Half her team was injured, their makeshift base in ruins. "We can't keep this up," Sarah muttered, more to herself than to Zephyr. "We need a new plan." A gentle touch on her arm drew her attention. Zephyr's eyes swirled with determination, and a clear thought projected into Sarah's mind. "Your ship. We must reach it." Sarah's eyes widened as understanding dawned. The Void Hunters had been so focused on Zephyr and the human defenses that they hadn't discovered the real prize. The colony ship in orbit, loaded with advanced technology and enough firepower to turn the tide of this battle. "It's risky," Sarah said, her tactical mind already racing through scenarios. "We'd have to cross open ground, and if they call for reinforcements..." Zephyr's response was a wave of determination tinged with an emotion Sarah couldn't quite place. Trust, perhaps, or something deeper. Together, the alien conveyed, the word carrying the weight of their shared experiences. Sarah nodded, a plan forming. She activated her comm, her voice low but firm. "Listen up, team. We're making a break for the orbital shuttle. Amit, Maya, you're on distraction duty. Use those sonic emitters we salvaged. Raj, get the wounded to the emergency bunker. Zephyr and I will make a run for the shuttle bay." A chorus of acknowledgements crackled through the comm. Sarah took a deep breath, looking at Zephyr. "Ready?" The alien's scales shimmered in what Sarah had come to recognize as anticipation. With a nod, they burst from cover. The next few minutes were a blur of motion and adrenaline. Sarah's ears rang with the piercing wail of the sonic emitters, designed to disorient the Void Hunter's sensitive senses. She caught glimpses of shadowy figures stumbling, their ethereal forms momentarily confused. Sarah and Zephyr ran as one, their movements synchronized through their mental link. They ducked and weaved through the ruined landscape, Sarah's heart pounding in her ears. A blast of dark energy sizzled past, so close she felt the heat on her cheek. Almost there, Sarah gasped as the squat, utilitarian form of the shuttle bay came into view. But between them and safety loomed a Void Hunter, its form seeming to absorb the very light around it. Time slowed. Sarah raised her weapon, knowing it would be too little, too late. The Void Hunter's arm elongated, forming into a wickedly sharp blade. Suddenly, Zephyr was in front of her, moving faster than Sarah had ever seen. The alien's body began to glow, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to push back the Void Hunter's darkness. The two beings clashed in a swirl of light and shadow, a battle on a level Sarah could barely comprehend. "Go." Zephyr's voice echoed in Sarah's mind, tinged with pain and urgency. The ship, our only hope. Every instinct screamed at Sarah to stay and fight, to not abandon her friend. But the soldier in her knew Zephyr was right. With a silent promise to return, she sprinted the last few meters to the shuttle bay. The familiar confines of human technology enveloped her as she threw herself into the pilot's seat. Her fingers flew over the controls, muscle memory taking over as the engines roared to life. As the shuttle lifted off, Sarah caught a final glimpse of the battle below. Zephyr stood alone against two Void Hunters, its body a beacon of light in the gathering darkness. Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing the shuttle to its limits as she ascended towards the colony's ship. The journey to orbit was tense, Sarah constantly checking her sensors for signs of pursuit. but it seemed the remaining Void Hunter ship was too damaged to give chase. As the curve of the alien world fell away beneath her, Sarah allowed herself a moment of relief. That relief was short-lived. As the colony ship grew larger in her view screen, Sarah's mind raced with the challenges ahead. She would have to convince the orbital crew of the danger, prepare defenses against an enemy they barely understood, and somehow find a way back to the surface to rescue Zephyr and the rest of her team. But as daunting as those tasks seemed, Sarah felt a spark of hope. In the face of an overwhelming threat, humanity had not only held its ground, but formed an alliance with a being from beyond the stars. It was a first step, shaky and uncertain, into a larger universe filled with both wonders and terrors. As Sarah docked with the colony ship, she steeled herself for the difficult conversations ahead. She would make the crew understand the stakes, the threat looming over not just this distant world, but Earth itself. And then, with the combined might of human determination and alien technology, they would take the fight to the Void Hunters. Sarah's hand hovered over the airlock controls, a wry smile tugging at her lips. When she'd signed up for this mission, she'd expected to be terraforming a barren world, not fighting to save the galaxy. But if this was humanity's baptism by fire into the cosmic community, she was determined to ensure they emerged stronger for it. With a deep breath, Sarah opened the airlock. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: the hunt had only just begun. Turning the tables, the command center of the colony ship HMS Horizon hummed with nervous energy. Holographic displays flickered with data streams and sensor readouts, casting an ethereal glow over the faces of the assembled crew. At the center of it all stood Captain Sarah Chen, her voice steady as she finished briefing the senior staff on the incredible events that had transpired on the planet's surface. Commander Alexandra Volkov, the ship's XO, leaned forward, her piercing blue eyes narrowed in thought. "Let me get this straight, Captain. You're saying we're now at war with an advanced alien race, and our only ally is another alien you found crashed on the planet?" Sarah nodded grimly. "I know how it sounds, Commander, but I've seen what these Void Hunters can do. If we don't stop them here, Earth could be next." A tense silence fell over the room. It was broken by Dr. Kensuke Yoshida, the ship's chief engineer. "Captain, with all due respect, we're a colony ship, not a warship. How do you propose we fight these things?" A small smile tugged at Sarah's lips. "That's where human ingenuity comes in, Doctor. We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't: unpredictability. And we're going to use every trick in the book to even the odds." Over the next few hours, the Horizon became a hive of frenzied activity. Under Sarah's guidance, the crew began modifying their equipment in ways the designers had never intended. Terraforming lasers were repurposed into makeshift energy weapons. Atmospheric processors were recalibrated to create localized electromagnetic pulses. Even the ship's gravity plating was altered to create zones of variable gravity that could disorient and trap invaders. As the improvisations continued, Sarah couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. This was humanity at its best: adaptive, creative, refusing to bow down in the face of overwhelming odds. A ping from the communication console drew everyone's attention. Lieutenant Zoran Wosu, the comms officer, looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's using a mix of our encryption and some kind of alien code." Sarah's heart leaped. "It's Zephyr," she breathed. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a grainy image of Zephyr. The alien looked battered but alive, its scales dulled with fatigue. A series of clicks and whistles emerged from the speakers, accompanied by broken fragments of English. "Sarah, friends, alive. Hunters, regrouping. They'd attack soon. Need, plan." Relief washed over Sarah, followed quickly by renewed determination. "We're working on it, Zephyr. Hold tight. We're coming to get you." As the transmission cut out, Commander Volkov approached Sarah. "Captain, I think I have an idea. It's risky, but it might just work. Sarah listened intently as Volkov laid out her plan. It was audacious, borderline insane, and exactly the kind of unconventional thinking they needed. "Do it," Sarah ordered, "and get me a shuttle ready. I'm going back down there." Hours later, Sarah found herself once again descending through the crimson skies of Proxima Centauri. But this time she wasn't alone. A squadron of shuttles flanked her, each loaded with jury-rigged weapons, and a team of colonists turned soldiers. As they neared the surface, Sarah saw the Void Hunter ships rising to meet them. Her grip tightened on the controls. "All units, remember the plan. Draw them in close. Make them think they've got us cornered." The dance began. Human shuttles weaved and dodged, their movements erratic and unpredictable. Void Hunter ships, sleek and powerful, gave chase. Energy beams lit up the sky, most missing their marks by mere meters. Just when it seemed the human forces would be overwhelmed, Sarah gave the signal. "Now." From high orbit, the Horizon fired its repurposed terraforming lasers. But instead of striking the enemy ships directly, the beams hit precisely calculated points in the atmosphere. The air itself ignited, creating a series of rolling shockwaves that battered the Void Hunter vessels. In the confusion, Sarah's team struck. Modified grappling hooks latched onto the nearest enemy ship. Before the Void Hunters could react, human boarding parties were swarming into their vessel. What followed was a battle unlike any in human history. In the twisting, shadow-filled corridors of the alien ship, human ingenuity clashed with advanced technology. Makeshift EMP grenades shorted out Void Hunter weapons. Portable gravity generators created zones of chaos, where up became down and momentum became treacherous. Sarah fought her way to what seemed to be the ship's bridge, Zephyr at her side. The alien's presence in her mind was a constant comfort, guiding her through the unfamiliar layout. As they burst onto the bridge, Sarah came face to face with the Void Hunter leader. It was a massive being, its form seeming to shift and writhe like living darkness. For a moment, Sarah felt a stab of primal fear. But then Zephyr was there, its body glowing with inner light. Together, the thought echoed in Sarah's mind. Side by side, human and alien ally faced down the cosmic horror before them. Sarah raised her cobbled-together weapon, a fierce grin on her face. "Let's show them what happens when you mess with Earth." The battle that followed would be spoken of in whispers for generations to come. Light against darkness, determination against cosmic hunger. In the end, it came down to a simple truth. The Void Hunters, for all their power, had never faced an enemy quite like humanity. As the last Void Hunter fell, Sarah slumped against a console, exhaustion and exhilaration warring within her. She looked at Zephyr, seeing her own mix of emotions reflected in those alien eyes. "We did it," Sarah breathed. Zephyr's response came not in words, but in a wave of emotion, gratitude, admiration, and something that felt remarkably like hope. As Sarah began the process of securing the captured ship, her mind raced with the possibilities. With this technology, humanity's understanding of the universe would leap forward by centuries. But more than that, they had proven themselves on the galactic stage. Sarah knew the road ahead would be long and fraught with danger. The Void Hunters were just one threat in a vast and complex universe. But as she looked at her team, human and alien working side by side, she felt a surge of optimism. Humanity had taken its first real steps into the cosmic community, and they had done so not with conquest or fear, but with alliance, ingenuity, and hope. The universe would never be the same, and neither would humanity. Journey to the stars. The captured Void Hunter ship hung in orbit around Proxima Centauri, its once menacing form now a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Inside, Captain Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, her eyes wide with wonder and a hint of trepidation. "It's so vast," she murmured, more to herself than to Zephyr, who stood beside her. The alien's scales shimmered with what Sarah had come to recognize as excitement. Many worlds, Zephyr conveyed telepathically. Many dangers, many wonders. Sarah nodded, her mind racing with the implications of what lay before them. With the Void Hunter threat neutralized, at least temporarily, they faced a new challenge. What to do next? Commander Volkov's voice broke through Sarah's reverie. "Captain, we've finished integrating our systems with the alien ship. We're ready to move on your order." Sarah took a deep breath. The decision she was about to make would alter the course of human history forever. Set a course for the nearest inhabited system in Zephyr's database. It's time we introduced ourselves to the neighborhood. As the hybrid human-alien vessel detached from orbit, leaving the colony ship to continue its original mission, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. They were venturing into unknown territory, both literally and figuratively. The journey through interstellar space was a crash course in alien technology and cosmic wonders. The ship's faster-than-light drive, which Zephyr called a fold engine, bent space in ways that made Sarah's head spin. Stars streaked by in ribbons of light, and occasionally they would emerge near phenomena that defied human understanding. Nebulae that sang in radio waves, stars that pulsed with geometric precision, and clouds of exotic particles that flowed like living things. Throughout it all, Sarah and her crew worked tirelessly to understand their new vessel and prepare for whatever they might encounter. Dr. Yoshida was in his element, reverse engineering alien systems with gleeful abandon. Lieutenant Mosu worked with Zephyr to create a rudimentary translation matrix for the languages they might encounter. And Commander Volkov drilled the crew relentlessly, ensuring they were ready for any potential threat. Sarah spent much of her time with Zephyr, their mental bond growing stronger with each passing day. Through their connection, she learned more about the complex tapestry of galactic civilization, the alliances and rivalries, the ancient races and upstart species, the wonders and terrors that awaited them. "Your people," Zephyr conveyed one day, a tinge of admiration coloring the thought, "adapt quickly. Learn fast. This, rare, valuable." Sarah smiled, feeling a swell of pride. "We've had a lot of practice. Earth isn't always the friendliest place. You have to adapt to survive." As they neared their destination, a bustling trade hub called Nexus Station, Sarah called her senior staff together for a final briefing. "We're about to make first contact with a multi-species civilization," she said, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Our actions here will shape humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. We need to be diplomatic, but also cautious. Remember, we're not just representing Earth now. We're carrying the hopes and dreams of our entire species." The crew nodded solemnly, the weight of their responsibility evident on their faces. As they dropped out of fold space near Nexus Station, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The station was a marvel of engineering, a massive structure that seemed to be made of crystalline spires and flowing energy fields. Ships of all shapes and sizes swarmed around it, a testament to the diversity of life in the galaxy. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel, emissary," she said, deciding on their ship's new name in that moment. "We come in peace and friendship, seeking diplomatic relations." There was a tense moment of silence before a response came through, a mix of musical tones and guttural sounds that their translation matrix struggled to decipher. "Unknown vessel," the voice finally said in halting English. "Your design is unfamiliar. State your intentions and species classification." Sarah exchanged a glance with Zephyr, who gave an encouraging nod. "We are humans," she replied, her voice clear and confident. "A newly spacefaring race seeking to join the galactic community. We have information about a threat known as the Void Hunters, and we request an audience with your leadership." Another pause, longer this time. Sarah could almost feel the confusion and debate happening on the other end of the transmission. Finally, the voice returned. "Proceed to Docking Bay 17. An escort will meet you. Be advised, any hostile action will be met with immediate force." As they maneuvered toward the indicated bay, Sarah felt a mix of triumph and trepidation. They had gotten their foot in the door, But the real challenges were just beginning. The docking procedure was tense, the station's defense systems tracking their every move. As the airlock cycled, Sarah straightened her uniform and looked at her team. "Remember," she said softly, "we're making history here. Let's show them the best of humanity." The door hissed open, revealing a delegation of beings so diverse it made Sarah's head spin. Creatures of crystal and energy, beings with multiple limbs and eyes, entities that seemed to phase in and out of reality, all stood watching the humans with a mix of curiosity and wariness. At the forefront stood a tall, elegant being with skin like burnished gold and eyes that sparkled like starfields. It stepped forward, raising a hand in what seemed to be a gesture of greeting. "I am Zarathul, diplomat of Nexus Station," it said, its voice melodious and yet somehow unsettling. "On behalf of the Galactic Concord, I bid you welcome, humans. Your arrival was unexpected. We have much to discuss." Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward, extending her own hand. As human and avian clasped hands for the first time, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Whatever came next, humanity had taken its first real step onto the galactic stage. And Sarah was determined to ensure it was a step toward a brighter future for all. A new hope. The Grand Council chamber of Nexus Station hummed with a cacophony of alien languages and the barely contained energy of a historic moment. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center, her posture straight and her gaze steady as she faced the assembled representatives of the Galactic Concord. Beside her, Zephyr's presence was a comforting anchor in this sea of otherworldly beings. "And so," Sarah concluded, her voice ringing clear through the translator fields, "we come before you not just as a new species seeking recognition, but as allies against a threat that endangers us all. The Void Hunters are real, and they're coming. Earth stands ready to join the fight." A murmur rippled through the assembled aliens. Some chittered in disbelief, others hummed with concern. Zarathul, the golden-skinned diplomat who had first greeted them, stepped forward. "Captain Chen," it said, its voice a melody of complex harmonics, "your tale is troubling. The Void Hunters are considered a myth by many, a bogeyman to frighten young ones. Yet you claim to have not only encountered them but defeated them." Sarah nodded, activating a holographic display. Scenes from their battle played out in miniature, showcasing the terrifying power of the Void Hunters and the ingenuity of the human response. "We captured one of their ships," Sarah explained. "All the data is available for your scientists to verify. But more importantly, we've proven they can be fought. They can be beaten." An insectoid being chittered rapidly, its translator struggling to keep up. "But you are primitives, new to the stars. How could you succeed where ancient races have failed?" Sarah smiled, a hint of pride in her expression. "Because we're adaptable, because we think outside the box, and because we're too stubborn to know when we're beaten." She gestured to her crew, standing tall behind her. "Humanity has faced extinction-level threats throughout our history. We've stared into the abyss of our own destruction more times than I can count. Each time, we've come back stronger. We don't give up. We improvise, we overcome, and we survive." A wriggle of something, respect, perhaps, or curiosity, passed through the council. Zarathul's starfield eyes seemed to twinkle with interest. "You speak boldly, human," it said. "But words are wind. What proof can you offer of your people's worth to the Concord?" Sarah had been waiting for this moment. With a nod to Dr. Yoshida, she activated another holographic display. This time, it showed schematics of hybrid human-void hunter technology. "We offer innovation," Sarah said. "In the short time we've had access to advanced technology, we've already begun to improve upon it. Imagine what we could do with full access to Concord knowledge." She swept her arm wide, encompassing the entire chamber. "But more than that, we offer a fresh perspective, a new way of looking at old problems. The Void Hunters have been hounding this galaxy for millennia, right? Maybe what you need is someone who doesn't know they can't be beaten." The chamber erupted in debate, alien voices rising and falling in a symphony of argument and consideration. Sarah stood firm, her crew beside her, as the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Hours passed, feeling like days. Finally, Zorathol raised a hand, silencing the chamber. "The Concord has deliberated," it announced. "While concerns remain, we cannot ignore the potential you represent. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Concord, with full rights and responsibilities." A cheer went up from the human crew, quickly stifled as they remembered their diplomatic setting. Sarah's shoulders sagged slightly in relief, but she kept her composure. Zorathol continued, its voice grave. "Moreover, we hereby establish the Void Hunter Task Force with Captain Chen as its commander. You will have resources and support from all Concord races to investigate and combat this threat." Sarah's eyes widened. This was more than she had dared hope for. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We won't let you down." As the formalities concluded and the chamber began to empty, Sarah felt a gentle touch on her arm. She turned to see Zephyr, its eyes swirling with a complex mix of emotions. "You did it," the alien conveyed telepathically. "A new beginning. For your people. For all people." Sarah smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. "We did it," she corrected. "Together, just like always." As they walked out of the chamber, Sarah's mind raced for the challenges ahead. There would be technologies to master, alliances to forge, and battles to fight. The Void Hunters were still out there, a looming threat in the darkness between the stars. But for the first time since this wild journey began, Sarah felt truly hopeful. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos, not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners, as innovators, as defenders. She looked out a viewport at the glittering expanse of Nexus Station, ships of 1,000 alien designs gliding past. Somewhere out there was Earth, a tiny blue marble in a vast ocean of stars. Sarah made a silent promise to her homeworld and to all the beings who now counted on her. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but with human ingenuity, alien alliances, and a spark of hope that burned brighter than any star, they would face whatever the universe threw at them. Together. As the emissary prepared to depart on its first official mission, Sarah took her place on the bridge. Her crew, human and alien alike, looked to her with trust and determination. "Well, folks," she said, a smile playing at her lips, "we've got a galaxy to save. Let's show them what humanity can do." With a command from Sarah, the emissary's engines flared to life. The ship accelerated smoothly, leaving Nexus Station behind as it headed out into the unknown. The stars stretched into lines of light as they entered Fold space, carrying with them the hopes and dreams of Earth and their new allies. The adventure was just beginning, and Sarah Chen, once a simple colony ship captain, now the defender of multiple species, couldn't wait to see what wonders and challenges awaited them among the stars.